What if I told you that the burning, numbness, or tingling in your feet is not just an inconvenience, but a silent signal that your body is slowly losing one of the most important abilities you have? The ability to trust the ground beneath you. That may sound dramatic, but if you are over 50, over 60, or even younger, and starting to notice that strange dead feeling in your feet or lower legs, then you need to hear this carefully. Because neuropathy rarely begins with a medical emergency. It begins with hesitation. You stand up and pause. You take the first few steps, and they feel uncertain. You go downstairs more slowly. You reach for the wall without even realizing it, and little by little, your body starts negotiating with fear. Most people think this is just aging. They are told the nerves are damaged, the feeling is gone, and there is not much they can do except manage it. But after years of seeing patients struggle with this exact pattern, I can tell you that is not the full story. Because in many cases, the feet are not completely disconnected. They are understimulated, undermobilized, undersupplied, and desperately waiting for the right kind of signal. And today, I want to show you one chair exercise. Just one that can help wake up that signal again. Not a complicated routine, not a gym workout, not something that requires balance, equipment, or getting down on the floor. Just one simple chair-based movement that can help activate circulation, improve nerve awareness, wake up the calf-foot connection, and make your feet feel more alive again. Especially if you do it consistently. And here is the part most people miss. This exercise is not powerful because it looks impressive. It is powerful because it targets the exact chain that neuropathy quietly shuts down first. Blood flow, ankle mobility, foot pressure awareness, and the brain's connection to the lower leg. If that chain starts failing, the problem is not only numbness, it is slower walking, reduced balance, higher fall risk, loss of confidence, loss of independence. That is why this matters so much. Before I show you how to do it, take a second and ask yourself something honestly. When was the last time you stood up and felt completely sure of your feet? Not hopeful, not careful, not mostly okay. I mean truly sure. If you cannot remember, then this video may be more important than you think. And if you want more practical health strategies explained in a simple, clear way, subscribe now and turn on the bell so you do not miss what comes next. Also, I want to hear from you. If you have ever felt numbness, tingling, burning, heaviness, or instability in your feet or legs, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Because in a moment, I'm going to show you the one chair exercise that many people overlook. The one that does not just move the legs, but teaches the feet and the brain how to find each other again. And once you understand why it works, you may never sit in a chair the same way again. And before we move on, I want to ask you something from the heart. If your feet have ever made you feel unsure, even for a moment, don't ignore that signal. Subscribe to this channel, because what you learn here could one day protect your balance, your confidence, and your independence. And in the comments, type 1 if you've ever felt numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet, or 0 if you haven't. Because every number you write tells me how many people are quietly fighting this, and how many lives we can help keep steady, one step at a time. The exercise is what I call the seated foot pump reset. It sounds simple, and it is, but do not let that fool you. Because this one movement combines 3 things your feet need if neuropathy has started stealing sensation from your lower body: circulation, musculation, and sensory re-education. Here is how you do it. Sit near the front edge of a firm, stable chair. Do not lean back. Your spine should be upright, but relaxed. Not stiff, not slouched, just tall enough that your chest is open and your body feels awake. Place both feet flat on the floor about hip width apart. If it is safe for you, take your shoes off. Thin socks are fine. Bare feet are even better on a clean, safe surface, because your brain receives clearer feedback when there is less material between your skin and the ground. Now, pause. Before you move at all, I want you to notice something most people have not paid attention to in years. The contact between your feet and the floor. Can you feel your heels? Can you feel the ball of the foot? Can you tell whether one foot feels clearer than the other? That awareness matters. Because if your brain is getting a blurry signal from the feet, every step you take afterward starts from uncertainty. Now, here is the first phase of the exercise. Slowly lift your heels off the ground while keeping your toes and the balls of your feet planted. Hold for 1 second, then lower your heels with control. Next, keep your heels down and slowly lift your toes and the front of your feet upward. Hold for 1 second. Then lower your toes back down. That is 1 full repetition. Heel lift, lower, toe lift, lower, slow, controlled, intentional, not rushed, not careless, and definitely not mindless. Start with 10 repetitions. If that feels comfortable, work up to 15, then 20 over time. But here is where this becomes different from every ordinary ankle movement you have probably seen before. As you raise your heels, I want you to gently press the balls of your feet into the floor and feel your calf muscles contract. As you raise your toes, I want you to notice the muscles along the front of your lower leg waking up. Those muscles are critical. They help you clear the foot when you walk, and when they grow weak or inactive, people begin to shuffle, trip, and lose confidence without understanding why. Now let me tell you the mistake that ruins this exercise for most people. They do the motion, but they never actually feel the motion. They go through the mechanics while the brain stays checked out. And if your goal is to improve nerve communication, that will never be enough. This movement only becomes powerful when you pair the action with awareness. You must feel the pressure shift. You must notice the muscles working. You must stay mentally connected to the feet while they move. Because the real goal here is not just movement, it is reconnection. And in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly what this exercise is doing beneath the surface, and why such a small chair movement can create changes that many people notice first thing when they stand up. So what is really happening when you do the seated foot pump reset? A lot more than most people realize. The first thing it does is stimulate circulation. When you lift your heels, your calf muscles contract. Those muscles are often called a second heart because they help push blood upward through the legs. And when that pumping action improves, you increase the movement of blood through tissues that may have been undersupplied for hours, especially if you sit a lot, sleep for long periods, or wake up with cold, numb, or stiff feet. That matters because nerves do not function well in a low-flow environment. They need oxygen. They need nourishment. They need movement around them. The second thing this exercise does is activate the exact muscle pattern that walking depends on. Most people think walking starts at the hip. It does not. Walking begins with what your foot can feel, what your ankle can control, and whether your lower leg can respond quickly enough to keep you from dragging, catching, or hesitating. When you lift the front of the foot, you are activating the muscles that help prevent tripping. When you lift the heel, you strengthen the push-off pattern that helps you move forward with more confidence. In other words, this chair exercise is not random. It is rehearsing the language of walking while your body is still in a safe seated position. And then comes the third layer, the one that almost nobody talks about, your brain. If your feet have felt numb, dull, or disconnected for a while, your brain may have started paying less attention to them, not because it wants to, but because the incoming signal has become weak, inconsistent, or noisy. That is how instability begins. Not only in the foot, but in the map your brain uses to understand where your body is in space. This is why some people say things like, "I can walk, but I do not feel stable," or "My legs are not exactly painful, they just do not feel reliable." That is a signal problem. And this exercise starts addressing that by giving the brain repeated, clear, low-risk input from the feet and ankles: heel pressure, toe pressure, ankle movement, muscle contraction, ground contact, over and over again. That repetition matters because the nervous system changes through consistent signals, not heroic effort. Now, there is one simple upgrade that can make this exercise even more effective. As you do each repetition, silently say this in your mind: heels up, heels down, toes up, toes down. Why? Because when you combine motion with verbal focus, the brain pays closer attention, and attention is part of the therapy. you are no longer just moving the feet. You are teaching the nervous system to notice them again. Now, if one foot feels weaker, slower, or more numb than the other, do not panic. That is not failure. That is feedback. It tells you where the connection is fading the most, which means it tells you exactly where your attention is needed. But there is still one more piece that separates the people who feel real improvement from the people who say, I tried it, but nothing changed. And it has everything to do with when you do this movement, how you breathe during it, and the one timing mistake that can quietly cancel most of the benefit. That is what we're going to fix next. Here's a timing mistake most people make. They wait until symptoms are strong. They wait until the feet are already numb. They wait until they stand up and feel off balance. Then they try to do something about it. But this exercise works best not only as a response, it works as a preparation. The most powerful times to do the seated foot pump reset are before standing up in the morning, after long periods of sitting, before walking outside, before using stairs, or anytime your feet begin to feel dull, cold, heavy, or disconnected. Why? Because you are priming the system before asking it to perform. You are telling the feet, the ankles, the calves, and the brain, we are about to move. Wake up. That is where many people notice the difference. Not always during the exercise itself, but right after it, when they stand and feel more aware, more grounded, and less hesitant. Now let us talk about breathing, because this matters more than people think. Do not hold your breath. Breathe normally and smoothly through the exercise. When people concentrate, they often tense the jaw, brace the shoulders, and stop breathing without realizing it. That extra tension can make the whole body more rigid, and rigidity is the opposite of what you want. If the goal is better movement and cleaner nerve input, keep the face relaxed, shoulders relaxed, hands resting lightly on your thighs or the sides of the chair. All the effort should stay low and controlled. Now, if you want to make this movement even more effective, here is the advanced layer. After every 5 repetitions, pause with both feet flat on the ground and gently press them into the floor for 5 seconds. Not hard, just firm. Felt the heel feel the ball of the foot. Felt the toes. This turns the exercise from simple motion into sensory grounding. And for people with neuropathy, that is powerful. Because balance does not start when you are already walking. Balance starts with whether your brain can clearly detect the ground. One more important note. This should never be painful. A little stiffness, fine. A little fatigue in the calves or shins, normal. But sharp pain, cramping that does not let go, or symptoms that intensify dramatically mean you should stop and reassess. Also, if you have diabetes, severe circulation issues, open sores, major swelling, or significant loss of sensation, always be smart. Check your feet regularly and follow the guidance of your healthcare professional. Now here's the question that really matters. What happens if you ignore this problem for the next 1 to 3 years? Usually, it does not stay the same. That slight numbness may become constant. That cautious walking may turn into real fear. That small hesitation may become dependence on railings, on walls, on other people. And that is how independence begins to shrink. But the opposite is also true. Small, smart, daily signals can begin changing that direction. And in the final part, I am going to bring everything together into a short, daily routine. Show you how to use this one. Exercise for the greatest benefit, and leave your audience with an ending so powerful they will remember it long after the video is over. So let us bring this together. If you want to use this one chair exercise in the most practical way possible, here is the routine. Sit at the front of a firm chair, feet hip-width apart. Shoes off if safe. Start by noticing the floor under your feet for 10 seconds. 10 to 2, 20. Slow repetitions of the seated foot pump reset. Heels up. Lower. Toes up. Lower. After every 5 reps, pause and press both feet gently into the floor for 5 seconds. The full routine takes less than 3 minutes. That is it. 3 minutes to remind your nervous system that your feet still exist, your ankles still matter, your calves still pump, and your body is still capable of responding. If you want more benefit, do it 2 or 3 times a day. Morning is excellent. After sitting is excellent. Before walking is excellent. And no, this is not a magic cure, but it is something even more important. It is a repeatable daily signal, and that is how real physical change often starts. Not with intensity, but with consistency. Let me leave you with something I want your viewers to feel deeply. The numbness in your feet is not only about your feet. It is about your future. It is about whether you move through your home with confidence or caution, whether you take that walk or skip it, whether you keep trusting your body or slowly begin negotiating with fear every single day. Because loss of independence rarely arrives all at once. It enters quietly, through hesitation, through reduced movement, through weaker signals, through one more day of doing nothing because the problem does not seem urgent enough yet. But here's the good news. Your body is still listening, even now. Even if the symptoms have been there for months. Even if your feet feel dull. Even if you've started doubting whether anything can really change. The nervous system responds to repetition. Muscles respond to use. Circulation responds to movement. And confidence responds to evidence. That means every time you do this chair exercise, you are sending a message. I am not giving this up. I am not waiting for things to get worse. I am teaching my body to reconnect. And that is powerful. So the next time you sit down, do not just sit there. Use the chair as the place where recovery begins. Use it as the place where the signal returns. Use it as the place where your feet stop being forgotten and start becoming part of your life again. If this message helped you, type "I'm starting today" in the comments. Before you leave, I want you to remember one simple truth. Your future independence is built from the small choices you make today, not someday. If you believe your steps still matter, if you want to protect your balance, your confidence, and your freedom to move, then subscribe to Dr. Adrian Cole, Senior Health Now, because every video here is created to help you stay steady, stay strong, and stay independent for as long as possible. And in the comments, type "I'm starting today." Not for me, but as a promise to yourself that you will not ignore your body, and you will not wait until it is too late.